Hello everyone, welcome back to Pabbly. So in this video, we are going to understand how to create Google Slides from Google Form responses and share on Gmail. So recently I have completed a webinar and now I wish that as soon as my participant fill in the Google form of the webinar feedback, automatically a certificate, which is the participant certificate, should be generated with the help of Google Slide, and that certificate should be mailed to my participant in the PDF format. For this, we are going to create a connection between these applications. To create this connection without knowing any programming or coding language, we are going to use Pabbly Connect. It is an amazing automation software. So if you also wish to learn this process step by step, then let me take you to my computer screen. Welcome to my screen. So as you know, in this video, we are going to learn how to create Google Slides from Google Form responses. So to do this, I've already opened the landing page of Pabbly simply by searching pabbly.com/connect in my browser. It is very easy. So as soon as we'll open the landing page of Pabbly, we are going to get two options. One is sign in and the another one is sign up for free. So if you are a new user, you can click on sign up for free and you are going to get 100 of tasks free every month. But I am an existing user, so I'm going to click on sign in right over here. And now it is opening all Pabbly apps. Over here you can see all the tools and applications offered by Pabbly. But in today's video, we are going to use Pabbly Connect because we are connecting different applications. So I'm going to click on access now right over here. And now it is opening my dashboard. And to start with the automation, we are going to click on this button which is create workflow. And now it is asking me the workflow name and the folder I want to save the workflow in. So I want to save the workflow in this folder which is automations, and I want to name my workflow as create Google Slides from Google Form responses, and then we are going to click on create. And now it is opening the most important window of our automation, that is our workflow window. This is the most important window because we have trigger and action in this. Trigger means when this happens and action means do this. By this you can understand that the trigger is the commander for the workflow and actions follow the commands. And as you know that we can have only a single commander but multiple followers. So over here we can have only a single trigger but multiple actions following the commands of our trigger. So now I'm going to select my trigger application, which is Google Forms, because I want that as soon as a new submission is made in my Google Forms, automatically my workflow should be triggered. So I'm going to search for it and then we are going to select it. And now for the triggered event, we are going to select it as new response received. And now it is giving me a webhook URL. So we are going to use this URL in order to create a connection between our Google Forms and our Pabbly's workflow. So first I'm going to copy this URL and then we are going to open our Google Forms. And over here you can see that this is the form I'm going to create this automation for. And now to connect this form, we are going to go on responses. And as you can see that I've already linked this form with my Google Sheets. So I'm going to click on view in Sheets. If you have not linked it, you are going to get the option of link to Sheets. So I'm going to click on view in Sheets. And yes, you can see that we have successfully connected our Google Forms account with our Google Sheets. So now we are going back to our Google Forms and then we are going to click on preview form and we are going to do a test submission. So to do this, I'm going to enter the name as demo user. So I'm going to enter it. For the email, I'm going to keep it as demo@pabblytudes.com. We are going to move on forward, and then for the phone number, I'm going to keep it as this. And now it is asking me for the webinar access code. So the unique webinar access code is tudes @ the name of the participant. So I'm going to enter it. And then we are going to move on forward. It is asking for on the scale of 1 beginners to 5 advanced, how would you rate your understanding of automation concept before attending this webinar? So I'm going to keep it as 2. And now it is asking me which of the following automation topics were the most relevant to your interest. So I'm going to keep it as automation for cost reduction and resources optimization. And now it is asking what is the one key takeaway you gained from the Know About Automation webinar. So I'm going to enter the key takeaway. The webinar highlighted the importance of AI and machine learning in powering intelligent automation, making it more efficient and impactful. And now we are going to submit this form. And yes, you can see your response has been recorded. This means that we have successfully submitted this form and our details have been captured in our Google Sheets. So I'm going to open my Google Sheets. And yes, you can see that our details have been captured right over here. Here are all the details that we entered. So now to connect this Google Sheets and Google Forms to our workflow, I'm going to go on this extensions and then add-ons and then get add-ons. So we are going to install Pabbly Connect webhooks right over here. So for that, I'm going to search for Pabbly Connect webhooks, and as you can see the same, so I'm going to select it. And as you can see that I've already installed this. If you haven't installed this, you're going to get an option to install this Pabbly Connect's webhook right over here. And as soon as we are going to install it, you are going to see that it will appear right over here. And from here we are going to go on initial setup. And now it is asking me the webhook URL and the trigger column. So we are going to paste the URL we copied from our workflow. And now after pasting the URL, it is asking me for the trigger column. So we have to enter the last column in which we have the data. So over here, my last column is H. So I'm going to enter it and then I'm going to click on submit. And yes, you can see setup configured successfully. So this means that we have successfully connected our Google Forms account with our Pabbly's workflow. And now we are going to click on send test. So we want to send this data to our workflow. And yes, you can see test data sent successfully. So now I'm going to close this. This means that we have successfully sent this data to our workflow. But now before moving on to our workflow, first we have to keep in mind that you have to always switch on this send on event button. So as soon as a new event is created or updated in your spreadsheet, automatically the details will be sent to our workflow. So I'm going to open my workflow and yes, you can see that Pabbly has captured the response of the details. We can see the name, the email, the phone number, and also you can see the key takeaway right over here. So with this, our trigger step is successful and now we are moving on to our action step. For our action application, first we are going to select Google Slides because I want that as soon as a new Google form is submitted, automatically a slide should be created and that slide should be sent to my participant. So I'm going to search for Google Slide and then we are going to select it. And now for the action event, we are going to select it as create presentation from template. So as you can see that I've already created a template for the certificate of participation. So I want to create this presentation from this template only. So that's why I selected the action event as create presentation from template. And then we are going to click on connect. And as you can see that it is asking me to add a new connection or select the existing connection. So if you have already connected your Google Slides account with your Pabbly's workflow, you can click on select existing connection and then save. But if you haven't, you have to follow me, click on add a new connection and then sign in with Google. And over here, after selecting my account, it is asking me for some permissions. So I'm going to click on allow and give Pabbly all the permissions it is asking for because my data is secure with Pabbly. You can also click on allow, Pabbly is safe. And as soon as we are going to click on allow, you can see that we have successfully connected our Google Slides account with our Pabbly's workflow. And as you can see, connected right over here. And now it is asking me for the template presentation. So over here, you can see the name of my template is certificate of participation. So I'm going to select the same right over here. And now it is asking me for the title of new presentation. So over here, I want the title to be certificate of participation. And then I want to enter the name of the participant right over here. But I'm not going to enter it manually. I'm going to map it. Mapping is a method by Pabbly, which means inserting the data from the previous step. And as you know, our previous step was the trigger step where we selected Google Forms as our trigger application. So we are going to map the details from the response of our trigger application only. And as soon as we are going to map these details, automatically my details will turn dynamic and change with every new Google form response received. So over here, I'm going to give you an example that if I'm going to enter the name manually, suppose demo user right over here, it will not change with every new response received because I've entered it as manually and this is a static information. But if I'm going to map it from the previous response, it will definitely change because my previous response will also change. So that's why we do mapping right over here. So I'm going to search for name and as you can see demo user, so we are going to map this. So now it has been certificate of participation demo user. So now as soon as you are going to receive a new response, certificate of participation will remain same, only the name of our participant will change. So now we are going to move on forward. It is asking me for the new presentations location. So over here you can see that I've created this folder for the same, which is participation certificate. So I want to select this same only right over here. So I'm going to select it and now it is asking me for the name and the date. So why is it asking me for this? Because over here you can see that in my template the name and the date are in curly brackets. So this means that they are variables right over here. So that's why it is asking me for the same right over here too. So that's why we are going to map the name right over here because I want that each time a new certificate should be generated for every new participant. So I'm going to map the name. I'm going to search for demo user right over here. And I'm going to map it. And for the date, I'm going to enter it as manually because it is saying event held on the date. So it is the date of the event. So it is static information only. So that's why I'm not going to map it. I'm going to enter it manually. So the date of the event was 10th of June. So I'm going to enter it. And now after entering this, I'm going to click on save and send test request. And yes, you can see that we have received the positive response that we have successfully created a new certificate. So I'm going to open my Google Drive and over here you can see a new certificate has been created, certificate of participation demo user. So I'm going to open this. And yes, you can see that this is the certificate. Over here the name has been changed, the date, and over here also the name has been changed. So this means that we have successfully completed this action step, and now we are going to add another action step because I want to send this same certificate to my participant also. So for that I'm going to enter Google Drive right over here because I want to create a file link which should be shareable one. So I'm going to search for Google Drive application and then we are going to select it. And now for the action event, we are going to select it as share a file with anyone. And then we are going to click on connect. Again, it is asking me for the same. So I've already connected my Google Drive account. So I'm going to click on select existing connection and then save. And now it is asking me for the file ID. So it is automatically selecting this one, but we don't have to create this automation only for a particular certificate. I want to create this automation for many certificates. So that's why we are going to map the file ID from the previous response so that this also becomes dynamic. So I'm going to search for ID right over here. And as you can see, here's the presentation ID. So I'm going to map it. And now as soon as I mapped it, automatically this will also change with every new response received. And now I'm going to click on save and send test request. And yes, you can see that we have received the positive response that we have made this file a shareable one. Over here, you can see the PDF link. So we are going to map this same link in the further step because we want to send this link only to our participant. So I'm going to add another action step. And now for our action application, we are going to search Gmail because I want to send the same PDF on their Gmail account. So I'm going to search for it and then we are going to select it. And now for the action event, we are going to select it as sent email v2 because I want to also add a signature. So I'm going to click on connect. And yes, as you can see that it is asking me for the same again. So if you haven't connected your Gmail account, you can go and add a new connection, but I have already connected it. So I'm going to select on select existing connection and then save. And yes, as you can see that it is asking me for the recipient email addresses. So I'm going to map it again and then I'm going to search for email, and as you can see demo@pabblytudes.com. So I'm going to map it, and now it is asking me for CC and BCC. So I'm going to leave it as blank because these are not the required fields. And now I'm going to move on forward. Over here you can see that it is asking me for the sender's email address. So I'm going to keep it as same only. Now it is asking me for the sender's name. So I'm going to keep it as Pabbly. So I'm going to enter it. And now we are going to move on forward. It is asking me for the email subject. So I want the email subject to be this: congratulations, your Know About Automation webinar certificate is ready. And then I'm going to map the name of my participant right over here again. So I'm going to search for name, and as you can see, demo user. So I'm going to map it because I want each of my participants should receive a more personalized mail. So now we are going to move on forward. It is asking me for the reply to. So as you can see that this is not the required field. So I'm going to leave it as blank. And now it is asking me for the email content type. So I'm going to keep it as plain only. And now it is asking me for the email content. So I want the email content to be this: dear lead name. So we are going to map the name of our lead again right over here. So I'm going to search for name. And as you can see the name over here, which is demo user. So we are going to map it. So now it has become: dear demo user, thank you for attending our informative webinar on Know About Automation. And in the end, sincerely, the team Pabbly. So now after entering all the details of the email content, we are going to move on forward for the file name and attachment. So over here I'm going to enter the file name, which is certificate of participation. And now after entering the file name, we are going to enter .pdf right over here. In the help desk, you can see that it is saying enter the file name of your attachment file. Include the extension of the file as well. So over here you can see that example testing.pdf or test.mp4. So we have to add the extension of our file also. So over here my extension is .pdf. So that's why we have entered it. And now it is asking me for the attachment. So we are going to map it. So we are going to search for PDF right over here. And as you can see that this is the link we have to map, which we have received from share a file with anyone. So we are going to map it and then we are going to move on forward. Now it is asking me for the label ID. So I'm going to keep it as inbox only because I want to send this in inbox. If you wish, you can keep it as important or any another. And now it is asking me for the signature. So over here you can see that it is asking me to select it, but I don't want to select it. I'm going to enter it manually right over here because I don't want my signature to change with every new response updated. So that's why I'm going to enter it as manually, which is Pabbly team. So this is the signature I want to add. And now after adding my signature, I'm going to click on save and send test request. And yes, you can see that we have received the positive response that we have successfully sent this mail with this signature only. So I'm going to open my Gmail and then we are going to check that if we have sent this mail or not. So I'm going to open it. And yes, you can see a new mail from Pabbly, so I'm going to open it. Congratulations, your Know About Automation webinar certificate is ready, demo user. Over here, you can see the mail that we entered. Over here, you can see the name that we mapped, and over here, you can see the same certificate. So I'm going to open this. And yes, you can see that this is the same certificate we have created with the help of our template. So with this, our workflow is successful, and I'll just test the workflow once, and this time I'm going to give you a real-time example. So to do this, I'm going to open my Google Forms, and we are going to refresh this page. So we are going to do another test submission. So for the name, this time I'm going to keep it as test user. For the email, we are going to keep it as testuser@pabblytunes.com. Then we are going to move on forward. For the phone number, I'm going to keep it as this time. And now for the webinar access code, I'm going to keep it as tuts@testuser. And now on the scale of 1 from beginners to 5 to advanced, how would you rate your understanding of automation concepts? So I'm going to keep it as 4 this time, and now it is asking me for the automation topic which was most relevant. So I'm going to keep it as automation for increased efficiency and productivity. And now it is asking me for the key takeaway, so I'm going to enter it. The session made me consider the future of automation and its potential impact on job market. It's important to be prepared for these changes. And now I'm going to click on submit. And yes, you can see your response has been recorded. So this means that Google Form has sent the details of our submission to our Sheets, and then through our Google Sheets, the details have been sent to our workflow. Pabbly triggered the workflow and further created a new certificate in our Google Drive account, and then shared that certificate with our participant on Gmail. So first, I'm going to open my Google Sheets and check that if the details have been added there or not. And yes, you can see the details have been added. Name, test user, email testuser@pabblytunes.com. Over here, you can see the phone number, the access code. Over here, you can see the ratings and the other details that we entered. So after adding all of this, now we are going to move on to our Google Drive, and then we are going to refresh this so that we can see that a new certificate is generated or not. And yes, you can see it has been generated. So I'm going to open this. And yes, you can see the name has been changed to test user because we mapped this. And now we are going to open our Gmail and check that if our participant has received the certificate on Gmail or not. So I'm going to go back, and over here you can see congratulations, your Know About Automation webinar certificate is ready, and the name is test user. And also in the mail, the name is test user. So I'm going to open the certificate. And yes, over here you can see the same certificate with the name test user. So with this, my workflow is successful, and I'll just summarize the workflow for you once. For a trigger application, I selected Google Forms. For the trigger event, I selected new response received. For the action application, I selected Google Slides. Then for the action event, I selected create presentation from template. Again, for the action application, I selected Google Drive. And then for the action event, I selected share a file with anyone. Again, for the action application, I selected Gmail. And then for the action event, I selected send email v2 because I wanted that as soon as a new response is received in my Google form, automatically a new certificate should be created with the help of Google Slides, and then that certificate should be created in a PDF link and a shareable PDF link with the help of Google Drive, and then that PDF should be sent to my participant on their mail. And yes, we were successful with our workflow. Over here you can see that we have created 2 certificates, one for demo user and one for test user. I'm going to open it and show you. Over here you can see for the test user, and over here you can see for the demo user. And also we have sent 2 mails, one to demo user as you can see, and one to test user with the same PDF link right over here. So if you have any questions related to the video or the workflow, you can directly comment on this video. And for your reference, I'll just clone the workflow and share the workflow link in the description box so that you can access my workflow. Thank you for watching. Not only these applications, but with the help of Pabbly, you can integrate many more applications. So now, if you have any doubts, you can reach us at support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can reach us at forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issues, you can follow this website. And if you find our videos helpful, do like and subscribe our channel. Thank you for watching.